FYI, guys, you're live on the internet, so watch what you say.
But it's 6:01 too, so I guess is everybody ready?
Yep.
Ready.
Yep. Yes.
Okay. Well, I guess let's just go ahead and start the March 25th work session. If Sarah, I suppose, is on here, I haven't seen her yet, but if you would call the roll call.
Yep, I'll do roll call. Hunt,
Yes.
McLean,
Yes.
McLaren,
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Is Christie absent then?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I guess let's just go ahead and start the March 25th work session. If Sarah, I suppose, is on here, I haven't seen her yet, but if you would call the roll call.
Yep, I'll do roll call. Hunt,
Yes.
McLean,
Yes.
McLaren,
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Is Christie absent then?
Yes.
Okay, so now we'll move on to the approval of the agenda.
I would move that we approve the agenda.
A second.
McLean,
Yes.
Hunt,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
McLaren.
Yes. Okay, and I guess the first item is discussion item on the 2021 certified budget. So I don't know if Steve or Sarah, whoever wants to.
Yeah, I'll take over that. I just got a hold of Christy and she's on a Zoom, but she's all by herself, so she must have the wrong address. Roger, you want to take a look at that real quick?
We can
Yeah,
wait a couple
well-
minutes. We can wait a couple minutes.
Yeah, did you take that off of the calendar? Roger should have sent you a calendar invite. Is that on the email or your calendar?
Say, Roger, I got a question. Roger, are you there?
Did it pop in
Yeah,
there?
yeah, I'm here.
Uh,
I sent Christy that link again.
My question, Roger, is if we were to view
Yep.
the email that Sarah sent to us, can we go to that email, or how does that work?
I'm gonna pop it up on my screen, Nick,
Okay, all right.
and we'll just go through that. So I'm gonna use the PowerPoint here, and my thought is we just go slide by slide, and when we're done talking about it, if you have any questions, ask them at that time. And then at the end, there's obviously opportunities to do that as well, so.
Okay.
Do we have to open the meeting?
Yeah, we did.
Oh, okay.
Okay, we
You
ready?
wanna- Yeah, Sarah, do you just want to document that Christie's on now, or we missed her before?
Sorry, yes, I got it down.
Okay. Then we should be good then, I think.
All right, sounds great. So this is fiscal year 2021 certified budget, a conversation. So if we start going through that, the certified budget process, the purpose is to, first of all, give actual revenues and expenditures for fiscal year 2019. If you recall, last November, after the CER is done, Those numbers are actual numbers. We re-estimate revenues and expenditures for year 2020. And then we also estimate revenues for fiscal year 2021. So those are the three things that this budget does. And then by certifying, you're certifying the estimated expenditures for fiscal year 2021 and the property tax rate for fiscal year 2021. So as you remember, we had to go back and recertify the number because of the bond issues. So by estimating expenditures, we're saying we're not going to spend over those amounts in those four categories. So if we just kind of look at some assumptions, we know what our certified enrollment is an assumption, and our preschool enrollment is not an assumption because those numbers came off of our October 2019 count. SSA has been passed at 2.3, which is a 1.06% increase from last year. Our taxable evaluation percent change from 20 to 21 is 0.19%. And then the TIF taxable valuation, you'll notice, is significantly high at 512%, which means Elite Octane is on there. So Elite Octane's worth a good sum of money, and that's why you see that big increase on TIF taxable valuation. It's important because if you're TIF, you're exempt from some taxes, but not the debt service piece of that.
Okay.
Questions?
So again, the SSA is what?
2.3.
And that stands for what, the SSA?
SSA stands for the amount increased per regular program cost per child. So I think.
So that's,
I
okay,
think-
so that's what we get from the state, okay.
Correct. So I think this year it's 6.884 and then 2.3%. I can't remember the exact number. Sarah, do you know it? 7,047 or something like that. Don't quote me on that number, but that's pretty close.
So that TIF taxable valuation change, is that correspond to actual increase in dollars that is available to the school, or is that just dollars available to the county, or how's that work?
My understanding is with the TIF is that the valuation of those people in that category is they're exempt from general fund and other taxes, but we get tax dollars based on our debt service.
Okay.
So here's some general fund levy SBRC amounts. Dropout prevention is something that the board approves, is $458,999. Special ed deficit, $537,476. Increasing enrollment since we went up 5.5, the board approved that amount. So that's where that numbers comes from. And then the ELL beyond 5 years and excess cost of $57,749. So the total cash reserve is $639,119. Now this is a good opportunity to talk about two different things. You got unspent authority, which this is all approved, and this is part of calculating our unspent authority. And then you have cash, which is the money in the bank type of thing. So those are the two different things. So our unspent authority, the board has the authority to spend an additional $639,119. Now, our cash reserve levy, we could go get that, but we do not have the authority to go get any more cash because we are over at 20%. So then that brings us to the next one. That's the history of our cash reserve levy, how much we could get, our cash solvency rate, which is the bottom column. And Sarah has estimated that to be at the end of this fiscal year to be 23.41%. Questions on that?
So what does all that exactly mean? I mean,
Okay,
Can we-
so,
get the
okay,
cash or not?
no, we can't get any cash.
What?
Because the rule is the board has the authority to go get cash if anything under 20%. And the state determines, hey, Atlantic Community Schools, you can go get, for example, in 2008, FY18, you can go get $2,922,670. That's the authority you can get. And the board decided to get $45,450. Okay. Well, now that we're over 20%, the solvency down here, anything over 20% says, nope, board, you got no authority to go get any more cash because your cash solvency rate is above 20%.
I
So
look
the,
at it as we're not to be a bank for the taxpayers' money.
Correct.
so the purpose of that cash reserve is just to have it there in case of emergency. I mean, it's,
Right. Right.
those dollars are ours, we just can't get them, right? Unless
Nope.
an emergency.
Cash reserve, meaning you're going to the taxpayer and say, we need this much money. Now, that's a good question, Nick. You go back to FY15, and Christy and Josh probably can respond because they were living that. You see our cash solvency ratio was negative 3.65%. That means we didn't have enough cash to pay our bills. FY15, and then you can see they went out and got some cash, and slowly they've raised it from negative 365 all the way up to 2341. Christy and Josh, you want to jump in, or Sarah?
I mean, I would just say, if you go back even farther, I recall, especially when I first got on the board, there were several years we didn't ever levy for cash. We levied for the SBRC, but we didn't levy just for cash. And I think we were a pretty conservative board, and we were looking to keep property tax rates even low. It became abundantly clear that with declining enrollment, we needed to have some cushion there. And so then, that's when things started to really, and then some of the other issues that we had with hospital school that we needed to have some cash there.
Okay, that helps me. Yeah, that helps me explain. Yeah, that helps me. So, yeah, you don't want to overburden your taxpayers if you don't have to. But the board wisely took that cash out in 18. Isn't that what you told me?
Yeah, you can see how much they levied over the last few years
Okay,
to get to the position they're in. So
okay,
it took them 6 years to get to 20%. Now, if you think about, hey, we've expended like $600,000 more due to the requirements of special education and ELL, but we can't go get that $600. So there's a good chance that
We're gonna drop.
this cash solvency rate FY21 will go down some because we couldn't go get cash.
okay, yeah. Could they make it more complicated?
Not much.
Don't give them any ideas.
So the next one is an instructional support levy. So the maximum you can charge on an income surtax is 10%. We, as long as I've been here, I think as long as it's been in place, I had an ISL income surtax rate of 0.08. And an income tax paid in 2018 was 7,900,348. So to support our instructional support levy, the property taxpayers paid 63,879, and the income surtax paid $632,028. I think it's important to look at the fact that that's income tax paid in 2018. So for FY21, that would be the income tax paid in 2019. So this crisis that we're living in right now will really not affect the income tax paid already that will contribute to our F121 instructional support levy.
So that lets me think of a next year's problem. If income tax goes down because of a recession, let's say, then that we're not going to get as much, you think, or what?
Well, it wouldn't be next year, but the following year. So when we certify budget the next year, that could
Right.
be actually a question that we have to ask and answer.
Right.
Yep.
So when do I start worrying? A year from now, or?
Well, there's another factors here we're going to talk about that's related to that whole picture. So,
Okay.
yeah. So the management fund levy. Now, remember, the management fund levy does our liability, it does our workman's comp, and it does our early retirement. So you can see the history over those years of how much we went and got for management. Now, Sarah's got, I think it's the next one coming up. We have a good balance in there. So currently, the way we have our certified budget laid out, we have going FY21 to get $100,000, and I'm going to show you why here in a little bit. Then you have your physical plant and equipment levy, the PEPL. The board approved the 33 cents, which is all property tax. The voter approved levy is 85 cents, and 23 cents is property tax, and the rest is income surtax, for a total of $588,854. So those are a couple other funds that affect our tax rate as we're moving forward. Questions on those three?
Where's the 85? You said 85. I don't-
Well, 85 is the total of the income surtax plus the property tax. So it's 80. So really, the income surtax covers 62 cents of the total levy, and property tax covers 23 cents of that. And that was passed in FY17, I believe. Is that correct, Sarah?
I think so, because it was it was the same time as Christie and I's election.
That was the first year came
It
into,
was 17.
and that was passed for 10 years. So that's in place for 10 years. So here's kind of the funds. Now you have to recognize the estimated revenues are probably a little short, and estimated expenditures are going to be long, because remember, we can't overspend our expenditures. So Sarah, why don't you go through this piece? Can you see it?
Yeah, I can see it.
Do you just want to go through it?
Yeah, I mean, I guess the only major difference on this slide would obviously be in your capital projects, because in fiscal year 20, that's when you received your GO bond proceeds. So that's why it has $10 million in it. Because next year, the only thing we'll get is the interest off those bonds. And then also the debt service. And Mr. Barber hasn't talked about that yet, but we're recommending that we go get the $4.05 on debt service so that we can pay down that the GO bond quicker than we had originally planned.
So I think that's a good point to talk in regards to Nick's question. So we paid 1.1668 the first year. We said we were going to pay 1.9, which was about 405 at that time, but the TIF money can come in. I think that's the reason. So we can get a maximum of $4.05, and that would be the number, $2,139,709. What does that do? First of all, it's prepaying the 10-year loan by 1.5 million, so you're saving some interest on there. But at the same time, if 3 years down the road, we're having trouble with cash reserves and things like that, we would not have to pay, I think the average was about 1.15 million for 10 years straight. That means if we got to go get some cash for this purpose, we only have to pay 800,000 or 900,000 or 600,000 on there, and then we can make up that difference to fluctuate the tax rate if we have to get cash somewhere else.
Okay, so here's what I hear you say. So we're paying down quicker on our loan so that because we have the ability to get the TIF money. And if we need extra money further down 3 years from now or whenever, we can, but since we paid down on the loan, we don't have to make a sizable principal payment, and that would help our revenues then.
It would create some flexibility. That doesn't say we don't have to pay it, right? So if you say, hey, we can still pay 1.1 or 1.3, that's fine. But if we're saying, hey, geez, making that payment's going to be tough this year, we won't be required to make that payment, is what I'm trying to say.
Is that interest rate significantly different than the facility loan interest?
It's at 2.14.
What is the difference in the activity fund between those 2 years? I think I can guess, but I'm curious.
Yeah, that was from the Disney trip that they were supposed to go on.
Okay.
Because we had a lot more, I mean, it was almost $100,000 that trip. So we had obviously a lot more revenues coming into the activity fund from student payments to pay for that trip.
I see. Okay. Thank you. That was not what I was anticipating that it was. So thank you.
Yep.
Okay. Then estimated expenditures. Once again, these are blown up a little bit just so that we don't overspend it. We always can amend it up, but we don't like doing that. So they're kind of cushioned that way a little bit. Management, we're looking at 305,000. So that would be the second year of early retirement, the group of 7. So that would be 56,000 plus your liability, our workman's comp. We've had some success with workman's comp as far as lowering that expenditure. By doing that, even if we're $200,000 short, we'd still have a balance of between 400 and 5,000 by the end of FY21. Is that accurate, Sarah?
Yes.
The sales tax, is we can spend some, we'll be spending some of that. But basically, those are some general expenditures that fit within that sales tax and PEPL. Yet at the same time, it's the HVAC project, it's the carpets, it's the sidewalk, it's those types of projects come out of those. So those numbers are above what we'll spend because we really base that off of that capital project. It's your buses, it's your technology pieces in there, those types of things. Then you got your capital projects, which is your bond issue. And then the debt service, which would be the 2,162 plus the revenue payment of about $500,000 each year for the upgrades on the middle school. So that's where that number come from. And then the nutrition fund on there.
So my question is, the figures in the column FY20, are those actual expenditures for FY20 or close estimate?
Those are estimated numbers because FY20 isn't over until June 30th of this year.
Okay, thank you.
And then I'll let Sarah talk about these. These are those 4 areas of your certified budget that you can't overspend.
Yeah, this is just all funds combined, so this includes all of them. And like Mr. Barber said, these are the 4 categories that when you certify, you're saying to the public, we're not going to overspend this. And if you reestimate and think you're going to overspend it, then that's when you have to do an amendment, which we already did that for fiscal year 20. So those are just the 4 areas and what we've budgeted for each.
So if we stay that same course, this is what we would be publishing in the paper. General fund tax levy would be $9.39. Management would be 20 cents and some change. PEPAL about 57 cents. Debt service 405 for a total of 1422. Now, in order to go get that $4.05, the board has to pass a resolution for $195,000. So that resolution then would bring it to this level. If the board decides they don't want to pass that resolution, that would lower that tax rate again. But by lowering that tax rate more, eventually you might, you know, that we're not going to raise taxes. So, you know, I don't know. We feel 405 is a good number. You know, obviously we put this together 3-4 weeks ago and a lot has changed since then. So we've got a resolution ready to go, but really kind of need to, that's probably the only thing we need to talk a little bit about and get feelings on that. And then the last one, Sarah put in the history from 2013-14 to 20 to what we're projecting or what we're proposing 2021 at 14/22/20.
Well,
Go ahead.
I don't know if you want to comment. It just looks to me like we're doing a service to the taxpayers by lowering the levy over the last 4 years. And I think that should show to the public that we're fiscally responsible with their tax dollars. And I mean, that's just my visual here.
Yeah, well, what evaluations done, Sarah?
It went up a little bit.
Well, yeah, you got to look at valuations, I guess.
Did we have that earlier, the increase?
Yeah, it was up by like 2.8%, I think, from last year.
2.87, I think, yep.
So if I mean, in terms of securing the revenue that we needed, I'm just be patient with me, I'm walking through this. If we backed off on that on debt service, we'd still, I mean, I hate to see the levy. It's nice to keep that somewhat consistent. I hate to see it drop too much. That would be my concern also. Because then if we have to go back and get that next year, if we chose not to do it this year, then we're going to be raising that levy rate probably.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think if you drop it, that 195 off, you're gonna get down, it's gonna be a significant drop, close to probably 80, 90 cents. And then, you know, who knows how it's gonna play out next year, but I think by going with the 405, we're putting ourselves in a position to be flexible and have maybe some more tools in our tool bag down the road.
Mhm.
Yeah, I agree.
And it's one of those things where I do think we need to look out for the district, but you know, our taxpayers may be feeling things here in the next year as well.
Oh. Yeah.
Not disagreeing.
Yeah, no, it's just, it's, everything is so uncertain, so. But it definitely, you know, it's not, I appreciate what you've put together. I think it looks very prudent on behalf of the district for sure.
Any other comments?
This is just sort of a silly question here, but you've showed me inflated expenditure budget. Do I look at a real expenditure budget? I mean,
Well, I think that, you know, when we make projections and stuff like that and show you unspent spreadsheets and those things, those are going to be, they're going to be more accurate in regards to actual dollars.
Sarah will help me with that.
Yes.
Yeah, and the financial reports that you receive in the board packet monthly, that one
Sure.
that's based off the line budget, that would be more in line because our line item budget is obviously going to be more closely representative of our expenditures. So you just want to be careful on the certified budget to make sure that you have room for unexpected things that might come up. So
Yes. Yes.
Well, kind of what I'm hearing is that we can post, Sarah's got to send the certified tax cert into the paper tonight. So we get within the 10 to 20 days posted. We will have, it'll be an electronic meeting on the 8th. We will have a number where people can call in on a public hearing, as well as an email to send comments if they desire to do that prior to 8th, but that'll all be communicated to everybody. And then what I'm hearing is we would put an action item down there for the resolution for the 195,000 and then certified our FY21 budget the same night.
So wait, what is it that we're getting public comment on?
You're required by law when you have to have a public hearing on your certified budget.
So at this point, are we putting forth a proposal or are we?
Yes,
Okay, got it.
yes. So it has to be in the paper between 10 and 20 days. And then we have to have a public hearing for the certified budget for comments.
Okay.
Either personally that night or written comments can be sent in.
And then we can make adjustments to it after that if we felt like we needed to.
If you so desire.
Okay.
you can lower it.
Okay.
Right.
You can't increase it, but you can lower it at that point.
Okay.
And Laura, that spreadsheet that I sent you guys with the PowerPoint, the publication, that's what will be in the paper. So if anyone has any questions, you'll have exactly what was in the paper on that spreadsheet.
Thank you.
So here's another question. How do we present this to the public? Do we just put the figures out there, or do we try to explain it? Or do we just wait till it's passed on the 8th and then make any comments, or do we just keep our mouth shut?
I mean, we're not trying to hide anything, Nick. So I mean, if there's questions or something that we want to answer, we can do it, but I guess
my question is, do we go into detail about how we're lowering the levy, and we've done this over the last 4 years, and we're using the debt service, we're raising the debt service levy because of this, and or do we just say, here's the budget, and here's our certified budget, and wait for questions? Or, I mean, I guess I don't want to stir up the public unless we have to, I guess.
I mean,
Go ahead, Kristen.
my personal opinion is, of these lines, there's very few lines that we as a board have an impact on. Certainly if we were levying for cash, that would be one that we could, have an influence on. The debt service, by passing that resolution for the 195,000, that is something that we as a board can make a decision about. The same with the management, that's one. But, the others, in terms of the general fund and, what we're getting for PEPAL and those kinds of things, those are really outside of the board's control. I look at in the past, when we made the decision after we hadn't levied for cash in a long time, that was maybe a talking point time. I don't see anything really outside of normal business that we're doing here. I don't think there's anything really.
That's fine. Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Well, yeah. That answers my question. And I don't want to stir up the water. And I mean, most people can't. 99% of the people can't understand this budget.
Right.
And we don't want to go into a lot of detail explaining it unless we get a lot of comments, which I don't think we will. And
No. I mean,
and
as a tax,
yeah, go ahead.
as a taxpayer, when I look at it, if I see my taxes have gone up, I might look at and say, okay, well, who increased their levy, and look and see. But taxpayers are going to look at this, and that levy rate is going to go down. It may be because my valuations went up that my overall tax bill is higher, but I don't think that there's going to be a huge impact on their tax bill based on what the school district has done, I guess.
Yeah. Okay.
I think one other thing that we made public comment about when we passed the bond issue is like, well, how can you pass a $9.5 million bond and not raise taxes? And we explained to them at that particular time that the fact that we didn't need to go get our cash reserve was going to offset those taxes. So that would be one thing I'd say. I'm going to be talking on the radio Friday morning, and we're going to publish it in the paper. So I'll probably make a comment that we're proposing next year's certified budget to have a tax rate of $14.22.
Okay.
I do think we may have more of a discussion on our hands next year if we, still having that debt service levy, and if we need to go get cash, then if our position changes, or in future years, that's when, in my opinion, we may need to have more of a discussion as a board in terms of where we want our levy to hit.
Right. And you're not gonna have an option to go get cash next year. Maybe the following year you would.
Mhm.
So FY '23 is probably the earliest you'll be able to make that decision.
Okay.
Thank you.
That accurate, Sarah?
Yep.
Okay. Is everybody good then? Do we further?
Nope.
Anything further?
Nope.
You wanna, we kind of went through those dates. Everybody's good with those two upcoming dates? Like there was there three of them, two of them?
I don't have it in front of me.
Okay. Yeah,
I don't have a whole lot to
It's
do
all
in the next couple.
The 8th.
All right, well, I guess if we're at that, then I'll take a motion to adjourn if there is one.
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second.
Okay, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right.
All right, we're good at 6:42.
Thank you very.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks,
Thank you.
everybody.
Bye.
Thanks, Sarah and Steve, for presenting
Yep, Sarah.
and answering all my questions.
We felt that you were gonna have some questions, and those are all good questions. And like I said, it takes time to get it figured out, and Sarah puts a pretty good PowerPoint where it makes sense to some people, most people, I guess. So thanks.